Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ohio State Primetime Live, presented by FanDuel here at Ohio State, the voice of college football. I am your host, as always, on a Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Garrison Gaddy. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and check out the awesome writers that we have that keep you up to date with everything that's going around the college football landscape. And so you can also see the weekly schedule, which we shall update pretty soon here. But yeah, make sure you do that. Also, check out all of our websites that we have where you can, in the description, the info, where you can check out all of the awesome gear that we have at our VOCFB/shop, where you can get mugs, sweatshirts, hats, all that, and koozies. Me personally, it's winter time, so I still like to drink in the winter. So be on the porch, chair out, winter pants, boots, beer, koozie. But let's get to the show, everyone. Again, if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. A lot of fun things to talk about here. Of course, we're in a slow time of the season. It's the off season. We're still waiting for spring to start. Of course, the guys are in winter workouts, so hopefully in the next month here, we're going to get more info out of that, see how guys progress in terms of strength, size, and all of those fun things. But first, let's start with the big news of the day. Last week, we talked about actually, I think the week prior also, because there's this news flurrying around about Matt Patricia and this deal. And we had talked about recently, just quickly about how, one, he wasn't asking for the world. Two, he showed that he wanted to be at Ohio State, or he verbalized that. Then I talked about my own personal feelings about Matt Patricia and just what I have gotten from him as someone from afar who is an Ohio State fan, but also someone who just tries to really see words are one thing. We all know this. Words are one thing, but actions are another. You focus more on people's actions. And from what I could tell, and I feel as though everyone else could probably see, from the actions of Matt Patricia, from the time that he got to Ohio State to the time the season ended, everything about him told me that he wanted to be at Ohio State. And today, the Buckeyes finally get that extension with Matt Patricia. And we're going to read a little bit about it right here. And so shout out to 11 Warriors for this, specifically Dan Hope. So here's the article right here. I'll read it to you guys. The Ohio State defensive coordinator has agreed to a new contract with Ohio State despite receiving interest for NFL jobs, which, by the way, is another now coach that the NFL wanted, because Arthur Smith was asked for a lot of interviews. He turned down for Ohio State, but same thing with Matt Patricia here. But Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork told Columbus Dispatch, while Patricia never formally interviewed for any NFL jobs this offseason, rumors circulated that multiple NFL teams were interested in Patricia after his successful first season at Ohio State, in which the Buckeyes had the best defense in the country. But Bjork said Patricia was always committed to staying, and that's in quotations, at Ohio State. He was always committed to staying here, Bjork said. I know his family loves it. His kids have fit in well. We just kept a constant dialogue before we got to an agreement with him. Patricia signed a 3-year contract worth $2.5 per year. And if I'm correct, because I think Jim Knowles gets just over $3 million. It's like 3.1, 3.2. And then what I saw earlier, I think Pete Golding was at 2.55, so he's around that area. But let's finish, because clearly it says here he's probably making more than that. When he became Ohio State's defensive coordinator last season. I'm sorry, this was last season. So that's where they had that range. Ohio State has not yet announced the terms of Patricia's new contract, but it's anticipated that he will make at least $3 million in a contract that will make him one of college football's highest paid defensive coordinators. And again, depending on how much they're paying him, I mean, wait a second here. How much did Jim Knowles get paid from Tennessee? Because he got 3.1 from Penn State. So wait a second. Let's see, Tennessee contract. Nope, wrong one. Yeah, I really want to see it, because I actually didn't even think about what he's making at Tennessee. All right, he's making 2.2. So then, highest paid. There we go. Let's see. There's nothing updated, really. Yeah, I mean, from what this looks like, Matt Patricia is probably the highest paid coach. He's probably about to be the highest paid coach in college football, which is really amazing. Oh man, real quick, man. Shout out to my guy Jordan. Says, shout out Garrison. Have a great show. Just popping in quick before I do what I have to do. Hey, Jordan, man, appreciate you, bro. And also, man, shout out to Jordan for the $2. As Isaiah 65. Hold a second. My guy. Shout out, man. Shout out to my guy Jordan, man. If you guys don't know Jordan, friend of the network. I know he's a Wolverine fan. He goes over there to I know Johnny's show, TJ and John's show also a lot. You can find him over there. But someone I really enjoy talking to. I met Jordan over during the season, and I really enjoy talking to him because he's one of those guys that really knows his stuff, and ex-football player, college football player too. So yeah, shout out to Jordan, man. But okay, let's get back to this article. So again, yeah, chances are that Matt Patricia is probably going to be the highest paid coach in college football now. Since in Patricia's first year at Ohio State, the Buckeyes led the nation in both scoring and total defense. Ohio State held opponents at 9.3 points, 219.1 yards per game, the best marks for any FBS defense since Alabama held its opponents to 8.2 points and 183.6 yards per game in 2011. Impressive. Was the finals for the Broyles Award. All right. Though the award. Okay, whatever. Cool. So yeah, man. And then this comes from Patricia right here. For me to come back to college football after 25 years, it was just something that I really wanted to change. I wanted to get back to that environment. I wanted to get back to teaching and mentoring and helping kids develop. Just walk into that room and just being able to be around the kids and see that joy, that youthful energy, and that love for the game of football was just so invigorating to me. It just really brought me back to my roots of why I wanted to coach, and I just loved going in there and seeing their faces and watching them want to learn. Yeah, man, it's Matt Patricia. I'll tell you what, it can't be talked enough about just the conversations that were had about him when Ohio State decided to make that hire. And at that time, I will even admit that was a controversial hire at the time. Not because Matt Patricia was a bad guy, but just based off of how he exited the NFL and how things were going in his last few seasons after becoming an OC for the Patriots and then going back to DC, winning Super Bowls, but then also going to the Lions and then positions after that on the other teams. A lot of people were down on this hire when at the end of the day, and once again, Ryan Day made the correct hire. And now to lock him in, and again, when you think back to like the Jim Knowles year when Jim Knowles was at Ohio State, and granted, he had been there for a longer time. He brought Ohio State silver bullets back from what it looked like defensively before he got there for the years prior to him coming. But with that being said, asking for the world and the moon in the middle of a playoff negotiation where you have Matt Patricia waiting to the year's finish and going about it in a very different manner than Jim Knowles did, and it just says a lot about the guy. And again, I'm really excited to have Matt Patricia studying at Ohio State. He's definitely one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. I think he definitely top 5. I don't know if I can call him the best yet because it's only been 1 year, and I still think Phil Parker's the best DC in college football, but over at Iowa. But yeah, man, shout out to Matt Patricia, shout out to the Ohio State staff, shout out to the administration, the athletic administration for getting this done. The athletic department, I have a better way of saying that. Yeah, shout out to the athletic department for getting this done because this was something on the docket that a lot of Ohio State fans were waiting to hear about, wait and see, and eventually they got it done. So that's all that matters. But again, everyone, let me know in the comments, like what are your thoughts? What are your feelings on Ohio State getting this done? How long do you think Matt Patricia is going to stay at Ohio State? I mean, if he was to have another great year, think about going to this season or last season, Ohio State had 8 draft picks off that defense that he took over and made them number 1 defense in the country. You look at what he's losing this season on the D line, at linebacker, and in the secondary. If he was to come back this year, and I said, I'd be happy with a top 15 defense. If he was to go and have another top 5 defense after losing all those players again and getting a bunch of another guys drafted, I mean, he's going to get those looks again, and that's probably going to happen every single season while Matt Patricia is in Columbus. So it is what it is. But I mean, hey, it's big time college football. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Like, well, how are your feelings about this? How long do you think Matt Patricia is going to stay? And just how happy are you that we got him to lock in at Ohio State? Man, hey, shout out to my guy, Daniel Henry. Says, what up, Garrison? OHIO. Most definitely my guy. Shout out to Steve watching on X. And by the way, if you're watching on X right now, go ahead, hit the like button, retweet, quote, do whatever. Much appreciated. And also, if you'd like to join us over on YouTube and join the chat. But shout out to my guy, Steve says, salute G. See, Gerard Jones, he says, so pumped to keep Patricia, huge for recruiting too. That too, man. I mean, when he got hired, I thought to myself, I didn't expect Matt Patricia to go on the recruiting trail. I didn't expect him to be that involved in recruiting. But that wasn't the case. He he came in, he talked about how excited he was to get in touch with recruiting and doing that. Shoot, I don't want to forget the kid's name. If you remember, Ohio State had a defensive tackle. We're not going to go without saying his name. 1 second. We're not going to do that. Oh, man. Because if I don't remember this kid's name, I'm going to be really upset because I thought he was one of the steals for this recruiting class for Ohio State. And it shouldn't be a steal because he was an in-state kid. Let's see. 26. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jameer Perez. That's who it was. Jameer Perez. And thank you, Daniel. And what happened was that, for those who don't know, he was already crystal ball to Florida, and Ohio State had not offered him yet. A huge, big kid out of Glenville. Ohio State had not offered him. He gets there, and I mean, maybe that's a little bit on Larry, but I mean, look, it is what it is. It's cool. But Matt Patricia gets there, and he made sure that he got offered. And then eventually he commits to Florida, then flips to Ohio State. And so, I mean, this is really big for recruiting too. Also for the factor of, when kids come to Ohio State for the defensive side, while you're there, and kids have talked about this. You have Matt Patricia, and also obviously you have Arthur Smith now too, but you have guys that know what it takes to be in the league, what it takes to play at a high level. And these are guys that know what scouts are looking for, what NFL teams are looking for, what owners are looking for, what GMs are looking for, and they can groom you for that. And so that yeah, I'm right with you, bro. I'm right with you, Jared. It's huge for recruiting. Daniel, he says, happy to have Matty P back. Fully expecting it to be his last year, though, with us. Yeah, I'm right with you. Again, Daniel, we're definitely it's kind of like the Wolverines had with the Harbaugh situation. Every year, knowing that your coach, everyone wants him out of there, and so at the end of the day, Matt Patricia, and Arthur Smith but especially Matt Patricia, they're highly respected in NFL circles, and so you got to imagine. At the Ryan Day NFL Head Coach Rehabilitation Center program. By the way, one of its graduates, one of its alums, Chip Kelly. So yeah, Ryan Day is doing the damn thing, and I'm happy to have him back. Steve, hey, this is what I love about Steve, because Steve Steve probably has the highest expectations of Ohio State that I have seen out of any Buckeye fan in my lifetime. Out of anybody in my lifetime. And he says top 5 defense is the expectation. I'm not mad at you for saying that. And I will admit that I've bloviated. Like, I'll put this, like, the more I talk about what's on this defense, the more I see it. Last Thursday, Mike and I were talking about the defensive line. and specifically at D tackle. I mean, you think about all the talent that guys like what we were talking about was like think about all the talent that James Smith has, and think about what Edric has, and you bring in a big guy like John Walker out of UCF, and you have guys like uh, Will Smith Jr. Who had flashes last season, got injured and nicked up, but he made a lot of flashes. You think if he can be more consistent, if the rest of that defensive line room can be more consistent and hit their stride, this defensive tackle room can be really, really good and really deep. On top of that, I mean, I'm high right now on the secondary. I think they're going to be really good this year. So yeah, there's a really good chance. I mean, this could be a top 5 defense, but I gotta see it first. I gotta that game against Texas is gonna tell us a lot. And because honestly, I think with both defenses losing what they did, it's early in the season. I think, and you got both quarterbacks returning. I think it could be, and both offenses are kind of rejuvenated, especially Texas in the game. Cam Coleman, I can see it being high scoring, but yeah, I don't blame you for having that expectation. I don't blame you at all. I'll read this real quick from Jerry. He says, hope he doesn't leave after this year. Hate to keep searching for coordinators every other year. Need some stability. I agree. And that's one of the reasons why I wasn't going to be fully upset with Ryan Day had he made our O-line coach Howard Bowen the OC. I wouldn't have liked it, but I would understand because every single season it kind of sucks when you have to replace him every year. But it is what it is. I mean, this is our third OC in 3 years, man. But the program continues, and so does this one. So let's get to our next subject here. And if you're just joining us, everyone, please go ahead and hit that like button for us, and also hit the hype button. Gives us the algorithm. It does a lot for us right there. But let's move on here. Let's get to the next subject. I stayed away from this last week. I didn't have much to say about it because I was busy with just work and life, and I found other things more interesting when it came to Ohio State. But I do want to talk about this now, and that's the playoff expansion. And that's because I'll tell you what. For as much as I love my program, as much as I blow VA and call us the best program up there with Alabama, and damn, it feels good to be a Buckeye. But sometimes there are things that are just unexplainable, such as like the whole patches on, like getting patches on the uniforms and talking about that, and now this, and when Ross Bjork talks about the 2014 playoff, and I also say this. I mean, I've been a defender of Ross Bjork. Because I don't really see anything negative that he's done to the program, but I have seen some positives, and maybe they're not the things that everybody else wants. Shout out to my guy DG Dillon on X, but he doesn't do everything everybody wants. But this here I don't like, but we're gonna read this here, and this comes over from MSN and from Stefan Krajnik. We're gonna go with that, but let's read. I'm going to read this here, and it says the article here says where Ohio State's brass stands on expanding the college football playoff. Yeah, so I'm just going to read a little. It's a short article, so I'm going to read this. It says the college football playoff was introduced ahead of the 2014 season with a field of 4 teams, and the number grew to 12 ahead of the 2024 season. Now further growth is imminent. The Big Ten is reportedly testing the waters on a 2014 field with a 16-team bracket likely to get introduced before the full expansion. As proposals get thrown around amid an approaching start to spring practice for Ohio State, Buckeye Talk subtext subscribers submitted their post-pressing questions about the offseason. OSU beat reporter Stephen Kreshnik provided answers. Okay, so first, where does Ohio State stand on expanded college football playoff? This comes from Day. He said, from Ryan Day. I would go all the way to 20 on the Stephen A. Smith show in December. I think it's good for football. I think it's good for everybody. You're seeing a lot of these schools opt out of bowl games, which is just not good for the sport. I think the more teams that we can involve in the postseason, the better. All right. Now, all right. So, am I the biggest fan of expanding it to 20 teams? No. I do think Ryan Day comes up with good points. The bowl season, and some as I'm 32 years old, going on, 33, and so I'm kind of I almost feel like an old timer now in the sport, but man, I came in the BCS era basically. Watching and understanding football, and bowl games mean something to me now. Not as many of them do now. I do love the Pop Tarts Bowl, though. I think that's a top five bowl game in college football, just in terms of the atmosphere. But I'm a fan of bowl season, and I think bowl season does mean something. I think it shows something once you get to that point, especially when you're talking about the upper half of these bigger conferences, especially when it comes to the SEC and Big Ten when they face off. Um, but specifically for this, I can understand how expanding it to 20 teams or 24 teams even would make more excitement for the bowl season, because I would assume that, hey, you're keeping these bowl games the same. But with that being said, I mean, in college football, it makes a lot of money, but you're talking about travel for both teams. And in reality, does that really mean much? Do the dollars really mean anything? No. So, I mean, in all reality, I'm kind of talking myself out of that argument right now. It would work. It would work. Maybe, and then, I mean, I think I still like the home games, though, in the playoffs. I do enjoy watching that as a college football fan, and seeing some of these teams that will never go other places in different types. Like, I mean, last year watching Tennessee go to Ohio State was cool, because for a very long time, us Big Ten people, we've wanted this. We say, hey, we come down there and play you guys a lot, but you never come up here during the winter. You never do that. So it was really interesting and really cool to see that happen last season, or 2 seasons ago, I guess. So I mean, but yeah, so I mean, there's that, but I'm still iffy about that. Um, And then this right here comes from Bjork. He says the conversation is going to continue. It's not going to. He says not just going to die, and we're at 12 forever. That is true. There's going to be continued conversation, and I hope that Ohio State has a voice in that. The Big Ten has a voice in that. Real quick, did you notice how he said Ohio State before the Big Ten? Uh, but yeah, that's a fact. We have to understand that the 12-team playoff is not going to be the end of expansion. I think, I mean, even when the conversation starts swirling about the 12-team playoff, people talked about is expanding it even more then. So, I mean, this is nothing new, and that is a fact. That's just a consequential fact. I think I skipped something because no, I didn't skip anything. So then, here's something else. Is with the no, that was that. That was that. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I think that for Ohio State, right? Forget Ohio State in this. For the Big Ten, I can understand why the Big Ten wants to have this expanded. I think for the Big Ten, I look at years like this where I thought the Big Ten got kind of a bad draw in some of the rankings for the CFP. I thought USC got dealt a bad hand. I thought I mean, and again, these are teams that lost games, but I mean, I thought that when we were watching games this year, even teams like Iowa, I mean, Iowa didn't lose a game by more than 6 points. And outside of Iowa, I mean, Iowa State was a quality opponent and it's a rivalry game. You barely lost. You probably should have beat Oregon, and you probably should have beat Indiana. So, I mean, every game they lost, and then they went against Vanderbilt, wasn't it? Yeah, and beat the doors off. So I can understand why the Big Ten will feel that way, but for the sport as a whole, I don't see how doing 24 teams makes the sport better. I think that keeping some of those lower level, and that's the problem. Some of those lower level bowl games, what happens to those? or do you make another? Are you now allowing more group of 5 teams into the playoff? Because now what we're talking about, I mean, automatic qualifiers should probably go away with. If you're going to do a 2014 playoff, are you keeping the G5? If not, are you going to what are the SEC and the Big Ten doing? How many teams do you get in automatically for automatic bids? Are you going to have a super conference? I mean, I think in a perfect world, you would add the SEC and the Big 12, and then you would add the ACC and the Big 10. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I think the playoff expansion is imminent. It's going to happen. I think 24 teams is too many for me. I think 16 to 20 teams is the route to go. If you want to do 17 to have a playoff or a play-in game, which maybe you probably shouldn't do, but I mean, like I said, there's a lot of ways to go about this right now, and I'm very curious about how the Big Ten is going to handle this along with the SEC. But yeah, let me see. Daniel Henry, he says the 12-team playoff really killed the Bulls in the last 2 years. Only a few good games outside the playoffs. Yeah, and again, that's why I can. If the 12 team killed it, then I would agree with Ryan Day that the 20, maybe even the 24 team, even more so, would probably give it more energy, right? Energize the bowl season a little bit more. I also think that if you're going to do the 12 to 24 team playoff, like the college football calendar, that has to change again. Because you're probably starting the games right away. Yeah. Like I said, and expand this sport is changing every year now, and so I think if anything, these decisions have to be made quickly, because if they're not made quickly, then it's going to be bad for the sport. I think that's just more important. I don't think it's the decision. If it goes to 24 or 20, cool, whatever. I can give a damn in the grand scheme of things. But if it's going to do that, you got to make that decision quickly, because it's going to affect a lot of other things. It's going to affect the networks. That's the sport is going to change, and it's changing quick. So if you're going to do it now. That's it. Hey, yeah. Jordan says Iowa got hoed by the rankings. LOL, and Dev should have been beat Oregon. Oh yeah, but Western fumbled. Yeah, Iowa was one of the better teams I thought in college football. I thought that was a top 15 team in college football, in my estimation. And then Daniel said the Big Ten wants to expand it because the SEC teams are overranked every year. I knew Iowa would dog walk Granny. I agree. I agree, and that's why I can't be upset with the Big Ten for doing that. And then what's even funnier, just on a different angle of this, because clear, and there's article I saw one article about it. I've seen from the fan base, and most fan bases are kind of somewhat against it, but especially the Wolverines are. But I think they just hate it because they don't like seeing teams that have religiously and historically been behind them now overtake them rapidly. I think they just like keeping their superiority within their head. So that just is what it is. Sorry, Jordan. You're my guy, Jordan. You're my guy. I don't think you feel that way. You're one of the good Wolverines. Because I guess there is such a thing. But all right, everyone. So that's that. But again, everyone, let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on the college football expansion? Are you for? Are you against it? Are you for 16, 20, 24 teams? And actually for Ohio State fans, what are your thoughts on Ohio State basically banging the drum for this? And I do think some of it has to do with Ross Bjork, also with the patches on jerseys. I mean, look, the guy is a capitalist when it comes to college football. And at the end of the day, his job as an AD before winning championships is to make money for the athletic department and the school. As much as people don't want to hear that, I mean, it is the same thing for the NFL. And the Super Bowl is very important. The number one thing is making money for your team. So I mean, your franchise. At the end of the day, the bottom line is the bottom line. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is, man. I'll tell you what, this sport is just ever changing, and grow with it or get left behind. But a quick message here, though, from the voice of college football. Get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the voice of college football. And let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. Check out the experience of our current partners, that being Win Agency and our friends over at FanDuel, posted here on the screen. And just like them, we are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com. Again, that's sponsorships@vocfb.com today. All right, well, let's continue with the show. Jordan, what did I tell you about cussing in here? I keep telling you guys, if you keep fucking cussing in here, I'm gonna get pissed off. So let's keep these nasty words out of the chat, please, and in the comments. It's not good for the channel. All right. Steve, I just hopefully Indiana gets more big noon games and we get more primetime games. Steve, not to say that. It's funny because I thought about talking about this last week, so I'm kind of happy you said this, Steve. Because let's do a little break in the show real quick and let's talk about this. For Ohio State in 2026, what possible games? Actually, this is what we can do: Big Ten 2026 football schedule, because they have that graphic, don't they? That's 2025. Here we go. All right, so let's look at this real quick. And I'll bring this up so everybody can see. So here's the it might be hard for everyone to see. You might have to kind of expand it on the screen, but depending on what you're watching over your phone or on your laptop or iPad or anything else. But here's the schedule right here for the Big Ten. So there's a few games that we know we can cross off without even asking questions for the Ohio State schedule. Indiana is going to be a big noon game. And the Wolverines are going to be a big noon game. Oregon's not going to be a big noon game because they're not going to make a Midwest. They're not going to make a West Coast team play at noon. For the team reasons and also for viewer reasons, because people on the West Coast are not going to wake up to watch a game at 9 a.m. I lived over there before. Outside of people that are big fans or they live out of the state, no one's doing that. They don't do that on the West Coast, especially in California. So that game I know won't be at noon. That could be a possible night game at Ohio State. For the home games, maybe Iowa. Who does? Yeah, I can see Iowa being a night game. That would probably, and then USC. USC definitely could be a night game. So we're probably talking Iowa and USC. Nebraska won't be. I can see that being like a 3:30 game. For the home games, yeah, Oregon, Northwestern, I guess. And maybe Maryland. But outside of that, yeah. So, look, man, big noon's going to big noon. You look at the other schedules. Oregon, They have USC. They have the Wolverines. They have Nebraska, I guess, and Washington. So there's a lot of big games going on around the Big Ten this season. I mean, USC has Oregon. They have a weak schedule. I forgot about that. Who else has a really good schedule? Let's see. Yeah, Indiana has the Wolverines. They have Washington. They have Purdue won't be a noon game, but of course also Ohio State and USC. Yeah. So I think because of the Big Ten schedule as a whole, I think you could definitely see Ohio State getting more big nighttime games this year. Especially, I mean, if the Big Ten is smart, right? If the Big Ten brass has any brains, this would be the season to really start churning out those night games on NBC and on I guess Peacock too. Yeah, over there on Peacock, because I mean we know what Big Noon's going to do. Big Noon's going to Big Noon. And for Ohio State this season, they're going to take the Indiana game and they're going to take the Michigan game. Those games are already off the docket. I mean, wait. We have Illinois, right? Illinois could be a possible night game because it's a rivalry game. You know, maybe do something. maybe. But then again, I mean, what's Illinois' schedule? Oh, this isn't a weekly schedule. I mean, yeah, based on who they play, they could possibly. I mean, yeah, depending on what Illinois looks like going to that game, that could be a big game. Who knows? Illinois, you know, they could possibly have a damn good season. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I hope Ohio State gets some night games this year. I would love it if we got 2 night games this year. That would fill my soul. That would be enough for me to be satisfied. Yeah, and Jared's right. Big Noon won't be at any of the West Coast home games. That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, well, let's continue here. So I have some fun things for us to talk about right now. And the first thing I would love to talk about with you all is about Ryan Day. Because Joel Klatt and Josh Pate, they gave their their top 10 coaches rankings in college football. And I would love to have this conversation here and now, because I feel as though Josh Pate has finally put a battery in my back. But let's first go over these. Let's look at them real quick. So where we go. Thank you. So first, let's go ahead and look at Joel Klatt's first. Let's look at his. So Joel Klatt, I think his list is pretty decent, pretty good. He has at number 10, he has Lane Kiffin. Number 9, Mario. I mean, you guys can all see it. Kehlani Sitake, that was an interesting one there, but I can understand his reasoning. I'm gonna go back and watch his reasoning for it. Kyle Whittingham at number 7, no complaints there. I would actually have Kyle Whittingham ahead of Steve Sarkisian, and I would have Mario. No, Mario's good where he's at. Marcus Freeman at 5. Okay, cool. I mean, you got 3 Big Ten coaches in the top 4, but it rounds off Kirby at 3, then Ryan Day, then end off with Kurt Cignetti at 1. I mean, that top 3 here. All right, so that's his. That's his. All right, and then let's go ahead and then look at Josh Pate's, which is which if you watch his show, and if you I mean, if you're in the Twitter sphere and you saw this, it caused quite a stir. He has Mike Elko at 10, Chris Ball at 9, Stark at 8, Kalen Bohr 7, which I find controversial. Lane at 6, love that. Go Lane train. But rounding it out, he has Kurt Cignetti at 3, Kirby Smart at 2 and Ryan Day at number 1. He says, to those ranked, don't embarrass me. To those unranked, prove me wrong. But as I said, yeah, this is why I'm really interested by this conversation about Ryan Day being put at number 1. Firstly, and Peter, I see you there, man. Shout out to Peter from Buckeye Battle Cry, man. Appreciate you being here, man. I think that, well, first let me say this. Those 3 at the top are interchangeable for me. And I think each and every single one of them, you can give your own bullet points on why they should be number 1. Like if you're going to say Kirby Smart, right? You're going to say he has 2 national championships. They were back to back. Multiple time SEC champion. Those reasons are very, very understandable, right? When you talk about Curt Cignetti, you're going to say, hey, man, 2 years at Indy, or this is at least what I would say. You're talking 2 years at IU. The worst Power 4 program in college football in history. You're talking 2 losses over a span of 2 years there. His only 2 losses are to the teams that played in the national championship in 2025 for the 2024-2025 season in Notre Dame, and the eventual champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And again, he's at Indiana. He also did it with 2 different quarterbacks. Went 16-0, first team for program to ever do it. I mean, what else can you say about the guy? Won the 12-team playoff. And then when you talk about Ryan Day, I mean, for me, or anybody else, for the simple bullet points, you're looking at, okay, what has he been since he's been in Ohio State? How much success has he had? That winning percentage that he has. He's won a national championship. Has an outstanding record against the top 10, and now he has a great record in the playoff. Those are the things you're going to look at for Ryan Day. Continued success. Then when you talk about the negatives, when you look at Ryan Day, you're talking about the losses of the Wolverines. You're talking about the losses in the playoffs. I mean, even though they were never favorites in them, they lost them. You're talking about for Curt Cignetti. I mean, he's only been at this level for 2 years. There's nothing really negative you could talk about with Curt Cignetti, but that's just the things you're going to hold against him. Unless you want to use his year at JMU, I guess that is D1 football technically. Then when you look at Kirby Smart, I mean, he does have a 7-win season on his career at Georgia, and also he hasn't won a playoff game in 3 years. And for all my guys, Keon, Rye, Bank, I'm gonna say it again. He hasn't won a playoff game in 3 years. But again, for different reasons, these guys are interchangeable. But here, I'll play. How about this? For those who have not heard it, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what Josh Pate's reasoning was. I thought it was well thought out. And honestly, he gave great reasons on why he has Ryan Day as number 1. 1 second.
Number 1 head coach in the country right now.
Shout out to Woody versus the World on X for having this. Well, there we go. It's the fun part of the show. You guys get to watch top tier producing and running the show. All right, here we go.
Ryan Day is my number 1 head coach in the country right now. There is an 11-win season, a 14-win national title season, and a 12-win season over the past 3 years. He has averaged a top 5 signing class, and they've had staff churn. I mean, losing the coordinators that they've lost and then backfilling the way they have is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And they kept rolling the whole time. They are just humming as an organization. And
I did find this funny because they took it off the screen eventually, but no, it's not here. But earlier, later in the show,
never finished outside the CFP top 7 in his entire run there. I know technically only going back the past 3 years, but what is this, his 8th or 9th year, something like that, Jesse? And they've never finished outside the top 7. That is a pressure spot. That is a pressure job. And there's just, even in the drought versus Michigan, which they finally erased last year, they never finished outside the top 7. It's been an unbelievable run. Ryan Day, again, it feels like ancient history when people said what he couldn't do. Oh, man, Ryan Day.
So, yeah, you get the point. And also, I had no idea. That was really interesting to hear that Ryan Day has not finished outside of the top 7. And that's insane. And again, I think sometimes Ohio State fans, we take for granted what we have in that guy. But yeah, Living though, like, where do you guys rank Ryan Day in college football as a head coach? Are you like Joe Klatt and you say, screw it, man, I got my coach number 1 based off what he's done over the last 3 years, and that's the time frame that he did it. And then for Joel Klatt, he has been number 2, ahead of Kirby Smart and behind Chris Ignetti. And again, I understand why a Georgia fan would see that, and in both lists and be like, what the hell? Like, are we just forgetting what Kirby Smart has done? But I do think when you haven't won a playoff game in the last 3, I do think that you have to hold that. You know, that's just the truth of the matter. And also, Joel Klatt mentioned this. Josh Payton mentioned this, and I think this has been true for some time now. Since Ryan Day has been at Ohio State, he's had the number 1 program in college football. Yeah, Georgia won those 2 championships, but I believe Ohio State's been the best overall program when you take it and everything that counts for what Ohio State is. I believe that. See, shout out to Daniel. He says, I give it to Sig because he did that thing at fucking Indiana. And I'm telling you, bro, like, I won't argue with anybody. Like, that's how I have it. I have him number 1. I have Kirby Smart number 2. I still weigh those championships very heavily. And then I have Ryan Day number 3. But it's hard not to look at what Chris Ignetti did. Because at the end of the day, man, I know, and some of us are, I try not to do this where we say, okay, if you did this here, you can do that anywhere else. But it's hard for me not to believe that he can do that at Ohio State and Georgia. It's hard for me not to think that. He did something that Ryan Day and Kirby Smart haven't done, won a championship after no. Never mind. I almost said something that wasn't true. Never mind. Cut that. But yeah, man, that's very true, Daniel. That's very true right there. All right, and so here's our last subject of the day. Something else I want to talk about here, and again, just things I catch, and I think we all see it, but just something that I thought was really interesting. And honestly, it grinded my gears a little bit. Actually, no, I didn't think this was interesting. It pissed me off. Because there's no way you can come up with this list. And this right here, everyone, it's possibly the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, one of the worst lists I've definitely ever seen in my life. And this comes from good grief, I just had it. Here we go. This comes from Bill Connolly, who is one of the biggest dupes in college football sports. And shout out to the Big Ten Huddle over there at the Believe Network. Shout out to JR over there also, OHIOTUJR. But this right here, unexplainable. This is Bill Connolly's top 10 Big Ten quarterbacks since 2000. And you see here, he has Fernando Mendoza at 1, Stroud at 2. And, of course, you see the rest of the list. Dylan Gabriel at 3. My God. First, let me say this. Any list talking about who are the best Big Ten quarterbacks since 2000, and mind you, I'm taking the Heisman means something. And a championship does mean something, but it's not everything. Drew Brees played in 2000. And Drew Brees is better than Fernando Mendoza. He was better than CJ Stroud at Purdue. Was better than Denard Robinson and Brad Banks, and he damn sure was better than JJ McCarthy. I feel like people forget that. So in JT Barrett, for as critical as I am as a Buckeye fan on JT Barrett belongs in this list, and this is the reason why. He damn near has every quarterback record in the Big Ten statistically, damn near, career-wise. And the guy he beat out for most of them was Drew Brees. Drew Brees held on to those records from 2000 until JT Barrett's last season in 2017. There's no way on God's green earth you can have a list of the best quarterbacks in Big Ten history and keep Drew Brees out of it. For anyone that's young, for anyone that maybe didn't watch Drew Brees back then, what they were doing back then was revolutionary. Not just in the Big Ten, especially in the Big Ten, but the country. They were out there running spread. Drew was out there slinging that thing, slinging the pill. Breaking records left and right, shattering them. Wasn't even close. And so it's amazing to me that that Bill Connolly, for him to be a journalist, a respected college football journalist, and put this out there made no sense. Dwayne Haskins, not on this list. There's no. Who the fuck is Brad Banks? I actually don't know. Excuse me for my language. I just couldn't believe. .58 completion percentage, 2,573 complete yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. How many rushing yards did he have? 423 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. Well, he won the Davey O'Brien? No. So, anyways, that's it finally hit me. Okay, and Daniel, so now let's get to this because this is something else I want to talk about. But real quick, not having Dwayne Haskins on this list, but having Denard Robinson, Brad Banks, get Dylan Gabriel over him is insane. If you want to put Fernando up there, fine by me. JT's not better than him. Curtis Rourke isn't better than him. I'm gonna tell you what. When it comes to Braxton Miller, I'm not having him over Dwayne either. But Braxton was almost an electric player I've ever seen in my life. And actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. Braxton, he could be on it. He deserves to be on this list. He deserves it because in 2012, Braxton broke all of Drew Brees' single season records. And then JT did it the year after, broke all Braxton's records. And Dwayne is definitely better than JJ McCarthy. That's not a conversation. This list might be, but Will Howard. I want to know the criteria. Because Fernando's definitely on here because the Heisman in the national championship. CJ is up here because of who he is as a quarterback. Dylan Gabriel is here for God knows what reason. Russell Wilson is there because he was. I'm gonna tell you what. I was writing down my own list. I had Russell Wilson in my top 5, top 6. Justin, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Will Howard deserves to be on this. Will Howard is one of the top. Hey, listen, if this is the list, and I don't know what the criteria is, Will Howard is a top 10 quarterback in Big Ten history. Top 12, definitely, but he's definitely a top 12 quarterback in Big Ten history. And I'm just running down these names. If Dylan Gabriel is here, he's got to be up there. If Brad Banks, because I don't want to hear just awards, because Brad Banks won the Davey O'Brien. I would choose like. Terrell Pryor stats. Let's compare it to Brad Banks. So in Terrell Pryor's best year, he threw 65. All right, listen, he threw how many more interceptions? Threw 4 more interceptions. But Brad Banks, so all right, we'll go back and forth. Brad Banks had 57.8 completion percentage. TP threw 65 in his best year. Brad Banks, 2,500 yards. TP, 2,700 yards. Brad Banks, 26 passing. Terrell Pryor, 27. Brad Banks had 5 interceptions. TP had 11. Cool, but he was still more accurate. Rushing yards. In his best year, in that same season, he had 423 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. That's Brad Banks. And Terrell Pryor's best year, for that season, he had 754 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, and a receiving touchdowns. I could make an argument. And let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if I'm off my rocker here. Based off the names on this list, I think I could make a logical argument. CJ, Justin, Troy Smith, JT Barrett, Braxton Miller, and Terrell Pryor should all be on this. Ohio State should have 6 quarterbacks on this. And if you want me to get real funky, I'll tell you Craig Krenzel. Cause bro, like JJ McCarthy's on this list simply because he won the championship. I don't think Brad Banks is better than JJ McCarthy. Like, this list is fuck. This is a terrible list. I think we can get to that. Yeah, this is a terrible list at the end of the day. And Bill Connolly should probably stay away from this type of stuff. Stay away from football. Again, that was god awful. Before we end the show, everybody, again, shout out to our partners our friends and partners over at FanDuel. Definitely be able to go over there and check them out. Some of the early lines that are currently out right now. You definitely want to be able to see this. And there's not that many right now. But currently right now, you have NC State right now versus Virginia. I don't know much about these teams right now. But you do have North Carolina going at TCU. I mean, I think putting 7.5 on North Carolina right now would be a great bet right now. I think you get a lot of work. Like, that's worth a lot right now. Probably even money line is at plus 245 right there. Clemson LSU. That's going to be a fun game. I definitely will go on the over on that right now, too. Because I think if Lane can, he's going to put it on them boys. Then UCLA Cal. Again, I said this a few, I think probably last week or 2 weeks ago. The over could be 65 for this UCLA Cal game, and I would pick the over. And then some fun ones like I won't say fun. Baylor, Auburn, but Wisconsin at Notre Dame. Of course, Ohio State, Texas is out right now. Then Oklahoma at Michigan. Right now, Oklahoma at 1.5. And mind you, if you don't know much about sports betting, I mean, you get 3 points for being at home. So that goes to show you what they think about Oklahoma at Michigan right now. And I guess almost the same thing for Ohio State, Texas. That's a pick'em game, as me and Mike talked about last week. But yeah, go ahead and check out our friends over at FanDuel, everyone. Definitely the best betting app and casino in the market. But that's the show for tonight, everyone. Again, I am Garrison. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, if you like our content, myself, Mike, and Mark Rogers bring to you here. Also at 8:30 right now, if you're watching live, go check me out on the, Alabama at the Voice of College Football. My guy Jackson, where we're actually be talking about the Ohio State-Alabama game possibly ending. And I can't wait to talk about that again because I think it's some of the wussiest shit I've ever seen. But again, everyone, like, share, subscribe to the channel, please. And again, and as always, OH, Ayo.